Hello and welcome to the channel that answers all your math questions and problems. My focus is to explain and help you through various subjects of calculus. Today I will start from the beginning and slowly build up with new subjects so you all can follow along. To start off talking about calculus, we must understand today's subject, limits. What is a limit? A limit in simple terms is a function's destination. Let's take a look at this graph of f of x equals 2x. If I were to ask you where the graph would be at x equals 1, you would simply plug in a 1 and get a 2. So f of 1 equals 2. You could then say that the limit as x approaches 1 from both sides of f of x equals 2x is 2. But what if I asked you what the limit of f of x was when x approaches infinity? Since infinity isn't a number, we can't just plug it in like we did when x equaled 1. For this, we must predict where f of x is going when you start plugging in huge numbers. If you just look at the graph, it is easy to see that the higher x values you plug in give you higher outputs, or y values. This means that f of x is going to infinity. Therefore, the limit as x approaches infinity is infinity. Now let's take a look at what happens when we plug in a high negative number. F of x equals 2x appears to just keep going down forever. Therefore, the limit as x approaches negative infinity is negative infinity. So now that we know how to find limits at negative infinity, infinity, and at specific numbers, now let's look at a more weird problem. This is the graph of f of x equals x squared minus 4 over x minus 2. Doesn't look so bad at first when you look at the graph. But what had happened if I asked you to find the limit as x approaches 2 of f of x? Your instinct would be to plug a 2 in, but you would get 0 over 0, which doesn't exist. We can't divide by 0. Therefore, to find the answer, we must use factoring to demask this problem. Factoring the top, we'll get f of x equals x plus 2 quantity times x minus 2 quantity divided by the quantity x minus 2. Then, as you can see, the quantity of x minus 2's on the top and bottom will cancel. It leaves you with f of x equals x plus 2. Now plug in that 2 and you'll get a 4. That is your answer. But why was this one so weird? That's because if you remember from algebra, when two binomials cancel on the top and bottom, you will get a whole at that point. The thing is that the limit can still exist as long as both sides of f of x are approaching the same y value. But one key thing to remember is that if the graph isn't approaching the same y value from both sides, then the limit does not exist there. The mathematical way of saying this would be the limit as x approaches a number, which we'll call c, from the left of the f of x, must equal the limit as x approaches c from the right. The plus sign and the negative sign in front of the c indicate which direction you are coming from. The plus signs mean you are coming from the right, and the negative sign means you are coming from the left. An instance where the limit does not exist is f of x equals 1 over x. Just look at the vertical asymptote at x equals 0. The left side is going to negative infinity, while the right side goes to positive infinity. The limit does not exist there because the left and the right aren't approaching the same destination. You might also notice that you cannot factor and cancel your way out of this one. The red flag is that you don't get 0 over 0 this time. You get a number over 0. This often indicates a non-existent limit. There are cases where the limit will exist, even if you got a number over 0. However, just look at the graph of f of x equals 1 over x squared. See how both the left and right are approaching infinity? Well, since the limit from the left equals the limit from the right, the limit does exist and is infinity. If you aren't able to see the graph, however, creep up slowly on both sides by plugging in something like negative 0.01 and 0.01 to see which infinity they are going towards. As a summary, there are three main ways of finding a limit. The first way is the simple plugging in of the number. If you get a real number, that is your answer. If you got a 0 over 0, however, you'll have to factor out the top and bottom and cancel, then replug in the number to find your answer. If nothing cancels, and you're stuck with a number over 0, then there may be an asymptote, which you will need to creep up on both sides to see if the limit does not exist, is infinity, or negative infinity. Finally, let's summarize what happens when x approaches infinity or negative infinity. Like I said before, plugging infinity or negative infinity in does not work because they are not actual numbers. What you need to do is plug in very big positive or very big negative numbers. This will show you where the graph is headed as it goes left or right. Alright, that about wraps this video up today, so I will be posting more content in the future. Each episode will include a new topic which I will cover. Once again, thanks for watching, and see you next time.